Okay, so our next two problem statements actually come from Wildlife Reserve Singapore. And as you know, WRS, right, is dedicated to the management of world-leading zoological institutions. Should I do a quiz now? Do you know what are some of the institutions under WRS care? It's okay, I can tell you guys right now. It includes a Jurong Bird Park, the Night Safari, the River Safari, and the Singapore Zoo, right? So this institutions aim to inspire people to value and conserve biodiversity by providing meaningful and memorable wildlife experiences. And if you're a Singaporean, you definitely would agree with this description. But before we dive into two exciting challenges by WRS, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Amos Liu, the Vice President of the Transformation Office, right, to share more about the WRS Innovation Lab. So Amos, are you ready to present on the WRS Innovation Lab?
Yeah, hi Billy. Yeah,
hi.
Definitely welcome. Very excited.
Okay, take it away. I'm excited as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, why not just get started? I won't take long. I think all of you are very excited to know more about the innovation challenge and the problem statement that we have put up. But just a very quick introduction. I'm not new to the startup ecosystem. I've been in it for a number of years, and very happy to be back on Innovation Thursday. So my name is Amos Liu, VP of Mandai Group's Transformation Office. My department is also in charge of the open innovation, working with external innovators, to co-solve and co-create solutions for our organization, primarily in the sustainability, biodiversity, animal conservation domain. But of course, given that we operate and manages the different parks and the exciting features that we have at the Singapore Zoo, Bird Park, etc., we also will require a lot of innovative solution in helping us with the park management and estate management. So, like what Billy has introduced, Mandai Precinct, we are undergoing a very exciting transformation. Besides the existing parks, like the Singapore Zoo, River Safari, Night Safari, and Bird Park, we will be building another 2 rainforest parks, indoor attractions, and eco hotel. Yeah, and also driving the development of the digital zoo concept to bring Mandai to the homes and beyond Singapore and to the world. So in fact, we are looking for a lot of new ideas and good ideas that can take Mandai beyond just the physical park, but into the digital realm where we can have better interaction, with all our different guests and visitors and be connected with them 365 days of the year. So there are many opportunities for leveraging emerging technologies, and we are keen to work with startups with good ideas and solutions. We are very happy and thankful to Billy and team and IMDA's OIP teams to support us in reaching out to the community. So today we have put up 2 of a series of problem statements relating to animal care and habitat management for startups interested to be involved in projects related to sustainability and animal care domain and be mentored by our domain expert. We welcome you to take part in this challenge, right? So beyond that, we have different areas that you can test and also deploy a solution. But at the same time, some of the solutions that you may co-create and co-develop with us may have the potential to be deployed in other attractions as well as other zoos around the world. So without further ado, let me hand over to Billy, and he will introduce our colleague, Dr. Shanzhe, who will deep dive into the problem statements with you. Thank you very much, Billy.
Hey, thank you, Amos. Very excited to hear about the future plans and looking forward to see them becoming reality. Yeah. Okay, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, our main speaker from WRS today is Dr. Liu Shanzhe. He's the acting deputy vice president, I believe, of the Conservation, Research and Veterinary Department at WRS. So Dr. Liu manages the Veterinary Department at Jurong Bird Park, as well as the Research and Animal Care Innovation Projects of WRS. And we also have the pleasure of Mr. Ryan Hunt today. Ryan is Assistant Vice President at WRS, and he'll be supporting Dr. Liu during the Q&A. And coming up will be the very first business challenge issued by WRS in Innovation Call 10. And I believe it's called A Smarter Way to Monitor Aviary Habitats. So I believe this applies to the Jurong Bird Park. That's my humble guess. So anyway, Dr. Liu, are you ready to share about the smarter way to monitor aviary habitats?
Yes.
All right, I'll hand over the mic to you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, thanks. So yeah, we're looking for a solution for one of the problems that we have, and the first one is inspection of our aviary mesh. So Amos already went through this, so I'll quickly go through it. We run the 4 parks at the moment: Jurong Bird Park, Night Safari, River Safari, and Singapore Zoo. And it's our mission to inspire people to value and conserve biodiversity by providing meaningful and memorable wildlife experiences. A big part of our work involves animals, and we have over 1,000 species and 15,000 individual animals at this point, which will continue to increase as we move the bird park over to Mandai and also build new parks. So for this challenge, it's about aviaries. So this is where we house our birds. So currently in the Jurong Bird Park, we have 2 very big aviaries. But once we move to Mandai, without giving too much away, there will be even more large aviaries, because large aviaries provide a lot of space for the birds, and it simulates natural habitats, and it allows us to mix different species of birds that would normally be together in the wild in the same space. So what we want this project to achieve is streamline our management and maintenance of the meshing of the aviary. So aviary is pretty much a big piece of mesh that is supported by several pillars to the appropriate height and size. And what we really need is proactive investigation of the aviary mesh integrity, so that if there's any weaknesses or breaches, we want to know before it happens or in real time. So like I mentioned, we'll have a few more large aviaries in the new Mandai Bird Paradise. The dimensions are similar to our largest aviaries in the Jurong Bird Park, but the design and the materials are a little bit different. And currently, we try to be proactive about checking the mesh, but because we don't have a good system for doing so, it's a bit limited. So as you can see, some of the aviaries are designed on the slope. So there are areas where the keepers can actually walk around and monitor the mesh on the perimeter, but there are still heights which they cannot reach and cannot actually visually check daily. So the main challenges now is that we are quite reactive. So you can see on one of the photos, there are leaves accumulating on the top of the mesh. So that is one of the times when we actually get up and clear that and then look more closely at the mesh. And when we have to do that, it's a lot of manpower and man hours, and it's also quite a high risk for working at heights. Some of these aviaries are up to 3 stories tall, about 20 to 25 meters in height. And when you have to work at height, you're quite dependent on the weather and environment. And if there's any wind, rain, thunder, lightning, then you have to call that activity off. And because of the way we're actually doing it, it's quite impossible to go through every inch of the mesh. So it's prone to errors. And this is a very low technology way that we do it right now. Problem statement is simple. It's basically how can we investigate aviary mesh integrity and conduct automated inspections for detection of possible breaches in the aviary mesh. This is an example of the new aviary mesh design, and it's a stainless steel woven mesh. So what we need in the system is that it can do a thorough check of the entire aviary mesh surface area, and then detect any weaknesses or deviation from the usual strength, and then send out an alert when they detect such a breach. And ideally, it's fully automated, it's easy to use, and it's durable, easy to maintain. And I mean, we have a few ideas, but we are open to whatever else is available. So we've read about high resolution 3D photogrammetric or laser modeling, camera coverage of the aviary mesh, mesh perimeter sensors, stuff like that. So why should you join? Other than the cash prize, we are also leaders in the field of animal care and running of zoological institutions. So like Amos mentioned, if there's something that works for us, then there's very likely a need in other parts of the world, in other zoos, where they can deploy similar systems. And because we are thought leaders and experts in the field, we can help adapt some of these solutions to other places. The evaluation criteria is pretty standard. Company profile, solution fit, relevance, quality of innovation, the scalability. And the timeline is the standard one as well. So between now and end of July is the application window. And then between August and September is when we start to evaluate the proposals. And then after that, there's about 3 to 6 months to develop the concept and the prototype.
Sorry, Dr. Liu, you're kind of fading a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Could you repeat the last part? Yeah.
Yeah. So timeline between now and July is the application phase, and then August to September we're looking at the proposals, and then there's 3 to 6 months to develop the prototype. And that's it.
Okay, we'll take a pause right now to have a Q&A for this particular challenge from WRS. So I'm opening to the floor. Anyone who has any questions, you can send into the Q&A right now. We'll pause for maybe about 30 seconds to see whether you have any questions. Oh yes, I see a question from Jose. Jose says, okay, Dr. Liu, there's a question from Jose on the floor, and he says that, can I include increased niche opportunity hypothesis in the aviary mesh? For example, predicts that there are increased niche opportunities in the introduced aviary environment as a more available habitat, I believe. Yeah. Would you be able to reply to Jose, or maybe get him to clarify his question?
Yeah. Could he explain a bit about what he means by this?
Yeah, Jose, could you maybe explain a little bit more about your question, because we don't quite get the crux of the question. Yeah. Okay, I'll move on to a question from James Ng right now. And James is saying that, are you open to using high-powered radio waves? Will it affect the inhabitants? I presume he's referring to the birds. So will high-powered radio waves be considered, and will it affect the birds?
Yeah, it's possible that it will affect the birds, but it depends on the wavelength, frequency, how long it's on for, and stuff like that. So it's possible, but we need to look at the details.
Okay, sounds exciting. You know, this whole project reminds me of my favorite movie, which is Jurassic Park. Yeah, it sounds very similar. Okay, we have a question there from Kiwei, and Kiwei is asking Dr. Liu, any preference for subscription-based solutions, or does WRS prefer lump sum contracts for this project?
I might get Ryan to answer this one.
Let's welcome Ryan.
Yeah, I think we can address that. We don't have any preference to that, but I think what matters most is the solution that we have. Then we can subsequently talk about whether it's a subscription-based or a lump sum contracts. Yeah, of course we need to have to see the POC. Then we can determine all this in a later part first. Yep, but we're open.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, somebody wants to confirm the prize money, but I believe it's been confirmed right in the slide. The prize money?
Yeah, it's
inside the OIP challenge also. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, looks like this project is very exciting because I'm getting more questions. Okay, so someone has asked, beyond the pilot, will commercial deployment procurement be an open tender, or will it be a spiral contract? I think Ryan, it's your turn again.
Okay, maybe I can answer that. Yeah, I think this is a very common question. We, as much as possible, would like to be able to work with the party that work with us on the POC, right? Of course, depending on the size of the eventual contract, we may have to partner you with a larger SI. So it's still open for discussion, but we do have cases, in fact, many cases that we go direct, yeah, with the POC partner to continue to develop the solution with us and to take it further from there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Oh no, I think I see more questions. Okay, oh yeah, I think Dr. Liu has already answered already. Jasper was saying he wanted more details on the mesh, so I think we have it on the screen right now.
Yeah, I put that on.
Yeah.
So there are some areas where it's slightly different, but this is what the majority of the aviaries will be made from.
Okay, that's great.
Maybe just to add on a little bit, if you are able to, to assist us, we're also looking at certain predictive model and, to predict maybe enlargement of some of this mesh in terms of opening and stuff like that, or prediction of the failure and stuff. I think that will be very helpful also, because we don't want to end up a situation where it's an after event, where the whole test, when the test happens and so on, then it might be a bit too late. So we're also looking for intelligent model that you can assist us on that.
Okay, that's great. Oh, more questions coming in, and I think I have one from Tian Yun that says, what is the main reason the mesh will break?
It's usually just exposure to the elements, and it just weakens with time. There's some birds that will pick on it, but in a large aviary, that is less likely because there's a lot of other things for them to do than pick on the
We're like wear and tear as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Jose has come back. Jose is saying that niche opportunity is a prediction model. So he wants to use this prediction model for the solution. So what do you guys think?
If just applying my understanding to what he means, if it's to see where the birds are gathering and try to guess that that's where the defect is that right? I mean, if that's right, then like I mentioned before, the birds tend to not pick on the mesh in a very large aviary. So that is probably it's not a good model for a very big aviary. Yeah.
Okay, I think we can also round up questions from James. James is interested in the wire mesh aperture size and the average size. Do you guys have the stats for him?
Yeah, I think it's on the picture. So if you look at the measuring tape, it measures where it's the widest. It's about 1.5 inch.
Okay, I think all the questions have been answered. So I think, thank you. So anyway, just a note to our audience, if you have even more questions about this particular challenge, right, do feel free to sign up for the OIP portal, and then you can actually post your questions in the forum related to the challenge, all right? It's on www.openinnovation.sg. And right now, oh wait, Jasper has one more question. So I guess we better answer this as well. Jasper is asking, are there already CCTV at your current site, which is probably Jurong Bird Park?
Yes and no. There's CCTVs on ground level, but it's not meant for looking at the mesh. It's for tracking visitors and stuff like that.
I think to add on, for the projects that we are looking at, we're actually looking at the new bird paradise also. So it can be implemented. So if you have chance to go to visit the zoo soon, once you turn in from Mandai Road to the zoo, that's the new bird paradise that will be happening, that we are building. And you can actually see one of the aviary being built right now, being put up. So you can have a sense of it also. Yeah.
Yes, and just I understand
that, maybe we can also share a bit on the size of the mesh. Is it about 50 kilometers square?
Yeah, it's variable, but it's on average about that size, yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking at quite a big area. So we're also open to various ideas that the participant here may have. You could propose some robotic solutions or anything. We are open to that. Yeah.
Oh, so Jasper wanted to add on. He says that can he offer CCTV system as part of his solutions proposal for the new aviary? Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible, but the maintenance needs to be easy. So if you're having a CCTV very high up and someone needs to climb up there to maintain it, then it kind of defeats the purpose of something that avoids us having to climb up.
Yeah, you must give him wings to fly up there to monitor. I'm just kidding. Okay, I think I hope that answers your question, Jasper. And we'd now like to move on to the next challenge. So basically, if you have Any more questions for this particular challenge, which is a smarter way to monitor aviary habitats? Do feel free to post your questions in the forum related to that challenge. And now I'd like to invite our guest from WRS to move on and present on the next challenge, which is Smart Environment Real-Time Monitoring System. Take it away, Dr. Liu.
All right. Yeah, the second one is slightly different. So we are also looking at having automated environmental data loggers. Again, we run the parks, we have 1,000 species and 15,000 animals to look after. So this one is very directly related to how we take care of our animals. And one of the things we are very big on is animal welfare. And positive welfare is key to enhancing the experiences of individual animals. And this part focuses on one particular aspect of animal welfare, which is their environment. Give them the right environment, then they tend to not fall sick, they tend to be happy, and they're able to do what they like to do and want to do. So collecting data from their environment will help us monitor and correct these parameters if needed. Some of these things includes air quality. So for animals that are living on land, birds, small mammals, for example, the humidity, temperature, and airflow is important. For others, like reptiles that sometimes we keep in indoor controlled environments, these are also important. For things like fish that live in water, the parameters such as pH, oxygen levels, chlorine levels, carbon dioxide levels, nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, there's a very long list of things we already measure. And those, if they can be automated, will help us a lot. And again, for species like reptiles that are quite dependent on UV light for their vitamin D requirements, we need to monitor the UV light intensity, type, and color. And for all the species, they can be affected by sound and vibration. So those would be important to monitor as well. The way we currently do it is quite time and labor intensive. So first we determine for each species which parameters are important and need to be measured. And then we find the correct device to measure them. And very frequently, this is multiple devices, like one device for each parameter. And once we've decided how they're measured, we need to determine how frequently, number of people, time needed, cost of the test. And then we start measuring them, we record them. We decide what's normal and what's abnormal. And then when it's abnormal, we'll highlight and inform the people that need to know, the curators or the vets. So the problem statement, again, quite simple. How can we measure environmental parameters, access the data on a single server, and receive alerts through an automated system? So what we're looking for right now is, because we're lacking in a logger that can automatically feed back to a server and alert the keepers, we need something that can do that. And we need that system for different groups of animals. So for example, fish. This is an example of a tank from River Safari. I mean, it's a typical size. It's not the biggest or smallest, but it's one of the common tank sizes. So we would want to monitor the water, for example, in such a habitat. For reptiles, amphibians, this is an exhibit in Reptopia, our indoor reptile exhibit. And you can see it's air conditioned, and there's different areas that the animals can access and hide in. Small mammals, again, they can be in an indoor controlled environment, or in the case of birds, it could be an outdoor large aviary. I mean, this is not large compared to what we talked about in the previous POC, but it's a kind of a medium-sized aviary. And I guess for the bigger air land-based type of exhibits, we want to monitor these parameters in strategic locations, so places where the birds tend to gather, or places where they tend to spend a lot of time in, for example, a nest or a nest box. So I guess the steps that are needed is we need to identify and install the measuring devices, set up the automated system, then we can set it to all the tests at the intervals that we wanted to. And we want to set up the system to upload these results by itself into a spreadsheet that we can easily download, and also have the system alert keepers when there are abnormalities. And we can test some of these solutions at River Safari for the water monitoring systems, and Reptopia and Fragile Forest, which is a large open air exhibit with both birds and mammals. We can use those exhibits for air, light, and sound monitoring systems. Again, this is same as the last one. The cash price is $50,000. We are able to probably help adapt these solutions to other zoos and other places that take care of animals. Evaluation criteria is the same, and the timeline is the same. So we can jump straight to questions.
Okay. Oh, we have a couple of questions that came in for this challenge. So let me. Oh, somebody wanted to ask for a previous challenge, but we'll handle that later. Let's have a question from Anonymous. Okay. Will there be a power source available nearby the areas that need to be monitored? Good question. Yeah.
For most of them, yes. So especially for the water ones, there should be. I mean, they might not be, spread throughout the aviary, but in certain areas there will be.
Okay, that's a very good answer. Okay. Another question will be, how frequently do these sensor parameters need to be read and transmitted? So the frequency of updates, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's different for the water and the land-based ones. The water ones currently we tend to do daily. The land-based ones maybe every 3 days to once a week.
Okay, so the frequency varies depending on what was being monitored. Okay, question from Kiwei again, and Kiwei is asking, is WRS open to services beyond environmental sensing for this project if there are synergies? So maybe I think Ryan might want to handle this.
Which question is that again? Sorry.
Question from Kiwei Liao. It says, is WRS open to services beyond environmental sensing for this project if there are synergies?
Oh, of course, of course. I think what we are looking at is that it's not just, just devices. Of course, if the services or after that, that is also part of considerations post POC lah. So I think we, of course, what we want is to find a partner that can, do everything, and it's easier for us to manage also. So yeah, we are open to that.
Okay, I have an interesting question from Vincent, and it's a question that I always ask when I go to the zoo. Can we tap on the Wi-Fi network that is in WRS?
Yeah, for the aviaries that I mentioned, there should be good reception, at least to the guest Wi-Fi, but there's also a staff Wi-Fi. But how good the reception is in those areas, I need to verify.
Yeah,
okay, so
maybe I will add on to Dr. Shanzhe's. We are free Wi-Fi covered. So we have our own private one and of course for the public. But of course, depending on different back of the houses or exhibits, there might be weaker signals. You can't expect because a lot are half outdoor, half indoor kind. Yep.
We also have the LoRa network available for the existing park.
So there should be some industrial strength network like that they can use for this sensor monitoring and so on. Okay, we have a question from Anonymous. Okay, is it pure monitoring you're looking for, or would there be a use case for control? For example, control water pumps.
I mean, if it's easy for these things to be auto-corrected, then that would be a value-added thing for us. And I mean, things like temperature, I can imagine should be quite easy to auto-correct.
Okay, thank you. Now another question from Shiho. Oh, this is another exciting topic. Everybody's piling in questions. Okay, Shiho is asking, do you already have all the required sensors, or do we need to provide all the sensors or a combination?
We have the sensors, but they require a lot of manual work. Like you have to put the water in, you have to go and read it yourself right now. So we have them, but they might not be suitable for a system like that. So
you're open to the tech solver actually providing actual sensors to answer all your needs.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and a question from Tian Yun, and Tian Yun is asking, currently, do you already have an automated monitoring system for the animals within the enclosures?
No, for most of them, it's not automated.
Okay, so currently not automated. And Anonymous asks again, is the solution preferred to be industrial grade or consumer grade solution?
Can more details be provided, as in terms of the accuracy or the scale?
Okay, so I guess this one can be an open question. Can she ask this on the forum or on the OIP website as well? Yeah.
Maybe just a bit of info here. Because of the environment, definitely I think your equipment need to be environment proof because of the weather condition and things like that. So depending on where the sensors are being deployed, you may have to look at that aspect as well.
Okay, thank you. Right, another question, and this is from Anonymous again. Is there any restriction on where we can store the data? So this person says that the solution is on commercial cloud. So does WRS need a solution to be deployed on government cloud?
No, we are not using the government cloud. So commercial cloud is fine.
Okay, so commercial cloud is fine. That's great. Another question, and this comes from Gokul, right? Gokul, and Gokul says, I understand that there are various sub-parameters for each environment. For example, for water, you have to track the ammonia, nitrates, and so on. So Gokul is asking, is the solution expected to cover all these parameters?
Yes, the more we can cover, the better.
Okay, Gokul, I hope you got your question ready. So the more we can cover, the better. And another question. This is our record breaker for the day. A lot of questions for this topic. Okay, Anonymous asks, do you need analytics to optimize the living condition for different species? Other sensors like VOC, PM may be good for ventilation control if required.
Sorry, what does VOC and PM stand for?
Yeah, Anonymous, can you let us know what do you mean by VOC and PM?
But yeah, maybe it's similar to the last question. I mean, if there are ways that the system can auto-correct, then that is better.
Okay, I'm hunting around for more. Oh, there's another question from Gokul as well. So Gokul is asking, can we take it that human intervention is allowed for conducting the test? For example, an employee who can take a sample and place on a device, or is the solution expected to be completely automated? So do you expect a sort of a mix, a manual kind of solution, partly manual solution, or must it be fully automated?
Full automation would be preferred, because right now, for example, if you're testing water quality, the keepers do have to get a water sample, but because it's multiple tests, they have to put the water sample on multiple devices. So I mean, if it all becomes just one drop on one device, that saves some time, but it's even better if the device just draws the water by itself.
Okay, so I guess the preference is to be fully automated as far as possible. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we have gotten the reply about the sensors, really, the VOC and the PM. So VOC stands for volatile organic compound, and PM is particle matter.
Yep. So those would be kind of what you need to measure to assess the ventilation. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And now a question about notifications. What kind of notifications are needed for WRS stuff? Is it SMS, WhatsApp, Telegram? If the parameters go beyond the desired level, so what kind of how would you wish your staff to be alerted if the parameters go beyond the safe levels? Yeah.
I think something on the phone would be ideal.
So a phone-based solution. Do you mind if it's text or actual call or something?
Yeah, text is probably the best.
Okay, so they have it. A text solution will be ideal. Okay. A question from Xiang Ming. Okay, if we have a solution to propose that can address some of the parameters but not all, would you still consider it? Or must he propose solutions that addresses all the parameters for all the habitats?
In the more the merrier for this, I guess. But I think the more important ones are the water ones, because the air ones, temperature, humidity, those are quite automated anyway. It's the water ones that currently require a lot of manual work.
So the water ones are quite a priority for automation. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to check whether there's any more questions that we can answer right now. Okay, I do have one question, gentlemen, that I think I'm asking on behalf of the audience. You are looking for a centralized monitoring dashboard, right? Can you maybe let us know what are the top 3 must-have items on this central monitoring dashboard? Or maybe the top feature that you're looking for this centralized monitoring dashboard?
Okay, so you're talking about the user interface, right? Not what's actually measured.
Yes, it's a dashboard that you put it in the challenge that, is in a scenario where your end user will have to use it. So what are the key elements of this dashboard that must be in place?
Yes, the data needs to be easily accessible, and anyone can download it if needed.
I think to add on things that we have done before on the dashboard, it would be best that we can also have history of stuff, so that in the future when we predict something, we know we can preempt ourselves if things might happen or things like that. So a good history sets, data histories maybe for the past 1 month or even beyond would be helpful. Then maybe in the future plan is like adding on AI elements to can predict certain stuff, so that keepers are always up to date, or maybe even things preempt them in certain ways. Yep.
Sounds like you're also looking for a bit of a data visualization kind of feature, right?
Yeah, but that one might be in the future. But I think
for this POC,
what we are looking at is more what Dr. Shangzhe has mentioned earlier. That will be the priority first.
Okay, got it. Thank you very much. We have one more question from the floor, and it says, is water leak a concern at River Safari? Is this something you'll be interested in? Water leak at the River Safari, is this a concern?
No, not usually. No.
Okay, and another question just came in from Shang Guo, and Shang Guo is saying that we would like to explore the possibility to arrange for a live demo for our ongoing setup that meets our requirements. Would you like to consider meeting up?
Yeah, it can be arranged, but I guess we need to wait for the COVID, restrictions to change a bit.
Okay, this might even happen only after the evaluation, I believe. It depending on how we process the submissions and so on. So Shang Guo, I think we can't give you a definite answer today. We have to see what happens after the evaluation as well as the COVID situation. Thank you.
Billy, I think there's a question relating to the submission, whether they can submit to include sound and vibration. So maybe you can answer on the process.
Okay, I'll get my my colleagues, Mr. Bay will help to answer this question offline. Mr. Bay, can you help with on this question? Okay, other than that, I think we have more or less tackled all the burning questions that our friends have for the team at the WRS.